So, I mean, he clearly put this as a sort of, a parody. But like some other things, when we said this before and other stuff, when people put it out, sometimes it just doesn't come across as this is taking the piss out of the people that you're very much aiming at, the people who take up and celebrate it. And it's so interesting because it's like, written in 1979. And you
Yeah.
didn't have the word incel or whatever then. But
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy. The fellow over there is John. We are here to discuss some music, in particular, a song that John is going to offer up me to go off and listen to, give my thoughts on, and then we're going to come back and discuss it at length, as we typically do here on the show. But in order to get the ball rolling, I'm going to need to know the artist and the track. So, John, if you please.
so we're going to back to a band that we've started exploring, XTC.
Okay, all right. XTC.
Very interesting song for so many reasons. Sergeant Rock, brackets, is going to help me, end brackets.
Okay, all right. That is an interesting title. And I can only imagine the subject matter is interesting too. So let me go off, give this thing a listen, and I'll come back and we can chop it up. Quirky movement to this, right? Get a little bit of a jaunty and disjointed to some extent with these accented vibra slaps or whatever is going on there. Gives it this kind of like almost like plaything type feel, like something that coils and releases. And yeah, it almost sounds like a like a somewhere between a war march and a soundtrack to a circus. It's what we've got going on here. Interesting sounding stuff. I'm liking the like Sunday newspaper comic strip look that they've got going on here too. That's interesting.
I'm enlisting overseas aid. Need assisting. Help with a maid. Get the expert. A mademoiselle. He could diffuse any bombshell. If I could only be tough like him, then I could win my own small battle of the sexes. And Sergeant Rock is going to help me make the girl mine, keep her stood in line. And Sergeant Rock is going to help.
All right, so it sounds like he's enlisting the help of this, I don't know, this, I guess in his mind, this machismo figure who's going to help him with the ladies, which just sounds super sad and pathetic. But that's the lyrics. The music, especially that pre-chorus part, had this nice little swing to it. So it went from that weird circusy march motif into this more swinging kind of motif, which I actually think sounds really nice from a musical standpoint. Some nice snare work to kind of kick things off in that transition, but the lyrics are a bit much, at least to this point. We'll see where it goes.
Make the girl mine, keep her stood in line, and make the girl mine wave the victory sign. I'm invading territory. Girls are foreign and strange to me. Get the expert at kissing and stuff. While he's
I really do like the part where it's like he's like my own, and like as he's doing that, there's this like bass woo, woo, that's sort of going on underneath that, and then it goes into that chicka, 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 chicka of the the snare hit. I really do like that part. I just think that the lyrics is like a anthem for the incels, so it's just like frustrating and kind of gross and pathetic. But musically, I actually do kind of enjoy the quirky, fun nature of it. Yeah, let me pull that back because I do think that little pre-chorusy bit is probably my favorite. Although I did like that the shortest. I don't know. I'd call it a post-chorus or whatever. It wasn't even really a bridge, but where there were some like guitar bends and screeches in there, that sounded really good too.
If I could only be tough like him, then I could win my own small battle of the sexes. And Sergeant Rock is going to help me make the girl mine, keep her stood in line. And Sergeant Rock is going to help me make the girl mine, keep her stood in line. And Sergeant Rock is going to help me. Sergeant Rock is going to help me make the girl mine, keep her stood in line, make the girl mine wave the victory sign. Hey,
Yeah, this is like polarizing, this track, because the music for the most part is like fun and quirky, and it's got these like between the vibra slap and the interesting technique used on the bass that gives it this also kind of like winding releasing feel, like a spring, like a loaded spring that is shot off. I like all of that. I think it's fun and quirky and interesting. So I think if I wanted to listen to this track again, I would almost want to hear it without any vocals laid down, like a version of this that has no vocal track, so I could just jam out to the fun quirkiness of the music, because the lyrical content is just like somewhere between pathetic and frustrating for me. I don't want to piss anybody off who happens to relate to this. Although if you do relate to it too much, maybe instead of calling on the help of this Sergeant Rock, you'd maybe just sit down with a counselor or a therapist or something and work through that shit. But yeah, I like it in some aspects, and in other ways it's very annoying to me, this track. But the music is fun, it is interesting, and it is interesting to see XTC in this light. So yeah, I'm interested to hear what John has to say about this from a subject matter perspective, because I know that he gave this to me, but even for some reason I can picture John maybe after some time kind of rolling his eyes at the subject matter that's outlined in this. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But there's only one way to figure out more about this track and his feelings on it, and that is to get back to John and discuss it with him.
Jockey Wilson, he's back. So you've listened to Sergeant Rock, brackets is going to help me, and brackets by XTC. What do you make of it all?
Oh my God. What do I make of it all? It's a tale of two parts. One of which I found interesting and fun, dare I say. And then the other part I found just wildly sad and pathetic. So we'll just talk about it as a whole and get through each part as we go. Some really punchy, insistent snare work kicks things off, followed by this jaunty but almost disjointed guitar riff that is accented by group chanting. And throughout the song there appears like this group chanting, of which I catch none as far as like actual content of words. Like I don't know what they're saying here.
Hey.
Oh, just hey. Okay,
Hey.
gotcha. Hey, that checks out. And this is accented again by the group chanting, and also like some of this percussive vibra slap action or something akin to that, which adds this kind of like playful fun. It's almost like mechanical toy type sounds that we're getting from the vibroslap, and also at times the bass as well, which kind of does this almost like coiling and then uncoiling and springing sound, which is, yeah, really interesting. So it's somewhere between at this point like this combination of circus tumbling music and a war march, kind of like put together oddly, because you wouldn't think to put these two sounds together ever, but of course leave it to XTC to find a way to make it happen. The verse kicks off, and Andy Partridge begins singing and wanting to enlist overseas assistance and garnering the attention of a woman or women in general, perhaps. He refers to this expert on mademoiselles who can help with diffusing any bombshell. This is already, we're off to an interesting start. Partridge then wishes he could be tough like him so he could win his own small battle of the sexes. And I have to be honest, he's coming off more than a bit pathetic in his messaging here. Also, like, is there any way to make it feel less to make the opposite gender feel less um I don't know, under attack or preyed upon than by conjuring allusions to war? I mean, this is really, he didn't think this one through, I don't think. I think he
He
was trying
did.
to have.
He really did.
You did? You think he did think this through?
Oh yeah,
Oh my
100%.
God. It then becomes clear in the next stanza that the he who he's referencing is none other than our titular character, Mr. Sergeant Rock. It appears our narrator believes that the good sergeant can help make the girl his and keep her stood in line, and then he can wave the victory sign. So these lyrics don't do much in the way of making our narrator sound, any less like some sorry incel at this point. During the next portion of the song, it marches on, and there are these falsetto vocals that accent Partridge's delivery. But again, I don't know what's being sung. Maybe it's more of that hey that we have going on here. But the perhaps the peak example of why the lyrics are so cringe came when he sings the line, "Girls are foreign and strange to me. Get the expert at kissing and stuff." Like, how old are you, man? Like, what is going on here? So yeah, I'm now fully inheriting and acquiring secondhand embarrassment by the narrator at this juncture. I must say that musically, I do really enjoy the pre-chorusy bit of the song, where it's got more of the swing to it, and some really nice, as you would call them, John, bass bumps. As he sings those almost staccato, like the lines mesh with the bass slides, and then that gives way to that like fiery, rap of the snare. So yeah, I really do like, that's probably my favorite part musically in the whole track. We then get another chorus, which is then followed by this bit where he sings about the relationship not going as planned, that is capped off by this resonant bass note and some more of that really nice snare work. And this is followed by a jaunty bit of that disjointed motif on the guitar with the bends and the screeches. Too brief in my estimation, this portion, and probably my second favorite musical chunk of the song came with these, like where he's flirting with doing a lead because he's doing the bends and screeches that often appear in leads, but none of the stuff that leads you to those bends and screeches appear. So it's just like getting thrown into the deep end of a guitar lead as they, kind of pulls and tugs on the strings. I liked it, just wish it was longer, and therefore because of that, I don't like it as much as the pre-chorus, but I do like it very much. So yeah, this is capped off by a bit more of that spring action bass work and that vibra slap boing. One more round of the pre-chorus and a subsequent doubling up of the chorus follows this bit before the song transitions to the same motif from the opening salvo to put a nice little bow on this tune. Yeah, the rhythm section of this song did a fine job in creating that odd but playful pace, and I really enjoyed the snare attack and the bounciness of the bass lines throughout. But good Lord, I couldn't get past the absolute skin-crawling nature of these lyrics. It does nothing to dispel this idea of sad, lonely men and their pathetic perspective on how and why women won't fuck them. So, needless to say, if I were to ever listen to this track again, I would try to do so by finding a version that didn't have vocal tracks at all, where I could just listen to the fun, playful nature of the music. Because, yeah, I definitely got the icks when listening to these lyrics. Other than that, it was a fun tune, though.
Thanks for listening to this, Andy. I mean, you may well garner from it that he's not being serious in these lyrics. He's
I
taking
would,
it for people
it,
in that way. So
yes,
it's not an incels charter, as it were, although it reads like it.
it
He is
reads like
not
it,
being serious.
and I have a feeling that incels aren't going to look for nuance in this, as a lot of people are quick to
This is the
overlook.
problem. Like
Yes.
many creations like Afghan, etc. But anyway, we'll get into that. So we have already discussed XTC and a couple of others before, Mount Somerton and Helicopter. Oh, heli. So I will add this to playlist, link below. Go in there, bits of that. So we'll just pick up the story from this song. So this song's from their fourth album, 1980s Black Sea. The protagonists in our little drama are Andrew Partridge, vocals, guitar, synth, Colin Moulding, bass vocals, Dave Gregory, guitars, synth, vocal, Vox Humana, and Terry Chambers, drums, drum synthesizer, and freeform vocals. Shouting, I guess. Their third album, just to pick up the story, so their third album, we listened to Helicopter off Drums and Wires, to a slightly more pop-friendly, orientated a slant than their first two albums, and it was met with great positive reviews, and it peaked in the chart at number 34, which is a bit of a breakthrough for them as a young band. Bassist Colin Moulding's dissatisfaction with XTC's quirky reputation inspired the group to take a more accessible approach with Drums and Wires, and he said, up until that point, we were viewed as a poor man's Talking Heads or something. I like that quote. When we came out with Drums and Wires, it was like a different band, really. So their lead single from that album was Making Plans for Nigel, which is a Colin Moulding song. And it grew the band's popularity, it broke into the charts, and it ensured their preceding UK tour was completely sold out. But they still felt they were not fashionable in England, and record sales only minimal improvements on before. And it will kind of stay that way forever, to be fair, with this sort of cult following. So frontman Andy Partridge, who we know from previous discussions is eccentric and troubled, he felt that he was losing the band's leadership because all the singles that actually were doing any charting were Moulding's, written by Moulding. So he attempted to exert more authority in the group. There's a bit of a power shift. Moulding said that Virgin wanted a quick follow-up to Nigel, and I felt pressured, but Andy was champing at the bit to redress the balance and prove he could write a chart hit too. So to follow up Making Plans for Nigel, the band recorded Andy Partridge's song, Wait Till Your Boat Goes Down. Partridge thought of the song as the band's Hey Jude and expected it would catapult the group's success. Instead, it was their lowest selling single to date, did not chart whatsoever. So just to sort of get you to where they are when they're doing this, between late 79 and early 80, they spent a lot of time on tour across Japan, Britain, mainland Europe, the States. And while they were also writing songs that would form this album, the group played gigs almost 6 nights a week for several months, which made Partridge said it turned him into a vegetable and he cracked up a little bit, which we know was going to happen along the way. During one of the performances, he suffered a brief memory loss, forgetting the songs as well as his own identity. So it still took a little break and he released a side project, his debut solo LP called Takeaway / The Law of Salvage. And this was an album of dub remixes of previous XTC songs. And it was credited to Mr. Partridge. And the back cover reads, this used to be some XTC records. It is now a collection of tracks that have been electronically processed / shattered and layered with other sounds or lyrical pieces. It received widespread unfavorable reviews, except in Japan, where it was heralded as a work of electronic genius and outsold all other XTC albums.
Wow.
They know something we don't. Everybody else hated it. Gregory played on Peter Gabriel's Melt, which included the song Biko that we featured on the channel. And they then went back into the studio to record Black Sea in the same setup that they'd previously done Drums and Wires. So producer Steve Lillywhite and engineer Hugh Padgham had returned from just doing aforementioned Peter Gabriel album with their signature gated reverb sound on the drums as well. And Gregory's 1960s influence was starting to really show and revitalize the band's interest in that sort of music. Gregory said the band had simplified to a beat group with songs less elaborate than the ones for Drums and Wires. Well, Partridge imposed the rule that no overdubs should be recorded unless they could be performed live. One of the potential titles for the new album was Terry and the Love Men. But late in production, the title was changed to Work Under Pressure before being vetoed by the manager, Ian Reid, who felt the title reflected negatively on him. So this album cover features a photograph of the band wearing antique diving suits in front of a nautical painting by Ken White after a sketch by Partridge, created especially for it. If you look, there's a flying bird, which creates an X, the ship's mast creates a T, and then the crescent moon is a C. So subtly spelling it out. The band's name. So Black Sea was the title ultimately picked to choose the nautical theme and express the feeling of claustrophobia that Partridge felt at the time, that his state of his mind was very black. So it's released in September 1980. Black Sea sold moderately, but it peaked at number 16 in the UK charts, album charts, which is the highest so far, and number 41 on the Billboard 200 charts in America, which again was, I think, their highest ever in America. Several singles were released, including top 40 hits. Generals and Majors got to number 32. Towers of London got to number 31. And Sergeant Rock Is Going to Help Me got to number 16. Sergeant Rock elicited feminist hate mail for the lyric "Keep Her Stood in Line." I think just that. Oh, fair enough.
That's the one line.
The band performed the song on the BBC children's programme Multicoloured Swap Shop, where Partridge then gave away his acoustic guitar. Different times. Towers of London was initially the lead single, but after filming the video, Virgin changed plans and decided to issue Generals and Majors first. In October 1980, BBC Two premiered this documentary called XTC at the Manor, and it was largely featured the group recording at the Manor studio, and it was fake studio sessions just for the film of Towers of London. During the filming, the band voiced their concerns with having no video for Generals and Majors. In response, Virgin owner Richard Branson rented war uniforms and organised a makeshift video featuring himself, his friends, and the band. Andy Partridge called it the worst video ever made by man. Black Sea itself received contemporary critical acclaim when it came out, but over the years, its reputation influenced the band as it grown even more. So in terms of retrospective interviews, Chicago Tribune said that the album marked the end of an era with an exclamation point. From here on out, the band's writing would become even more complex and personalized. AllMusic called it XTC's most consistent album yet, both in terms of its full arrangements and subtle political commentary. Record Collector wrote that Black Sea was arguably the sweet spot in XTC's imperial phase as a perma-touring four-piece experimental pop group. And Pitchfork highlighted Sergeant Rock, brackets, Will Never Vacate Your Brain, Rocket from a Bottle, brackets, one of their most jet fuel songs, and Travels in Nihilon, brackets, one of their strangest. So the lyrics. Hey, rock, rock. 4 times. Hey, rock, rock. Hey, rock, rock. Hey, rock, rock. I'm enlisting overseas aid. Need assisting help with a maid. Get the expert on mademoiselles. He could defuse any bombshells. If only I could be tough like him, then I could win my own small battle of the sexes. And Sergeant Rock is going to help me. Make the girl mine, keep her stood in line. Sergeant Rock is going to help me. Make the girl mine, keep her stood in line. Make the girl mine, wave the victory sign. Hey, rock, hey, rock, hey, rock, hey, etc. I'm invading territories. Girls are foreign and strange to me. Get the expert at kissing and stuff. Well, he stays easy when things get tough. If only I could be tough like him, then I could win my own small battle of the sexes. Sergeant Rock is going to help me make the girl mine keep it stood in line. Sergeant Rock's going to help me make the girl mine keep it stood in line. I make the girl mine wave the victory sign. Sometimes relationships don't go as planned. Some girls can make themselves so cold a no man's land. If only I could be tough like him, then I could win my own small battle of the sexes. And Sergeant Rock's going to help me make the girl mine keep it stood in line. Sergeant Rock's going to help me make the girl mine keep it stood in line. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, rock, rock, rock. Hey, rock, rock, rock. Hey. So, according to Andy Partridge, you'll like this. Just a simple admiration song. Sergeant Rock is a US comic character who commands a troop known as Easy Company. He is brave, handsome, and successful. Not as one empty-headed girl wrote in to complain to a music paper, likely to cause violence to women. That's very much tongue-in-cheek. He wanted to say, the least favourite of all my songs. It was written as a joke about a little weed who looked up to Sergeant Rock. It was a nerd's sad fantasy. I just wish we hadn't released it. There's something very crap, really, something banal about it. Then he went on to say further, right, I'm standing up here and now and saying this song embarrasses the shit out of me. Of all the tunes I have written that made it to tape, this makes me cringe the worst. It's not the music, that's solid enough. All the instruments of the track mesh nicely enough, but the lyrical sentiment, oh dear. It was supposed to be ironic, you know. Nerdy comic fans imagines two-dimensional hero going to help him with his unsuccessful chat-up technique. It did not work. It just came out limply crap. Virgin insisted it must be included in this set, otherwise I gladly erase it from my history. We all make mistakes.
We are two Andys of the same mind on this.
So, I mean, he clearly put this as a sort of, you know, a parody. But like some other things, when we said this before and other stuff, when people put it out, sometimes it just doesn't come across as this is taking the piss out of the people that you're very much aiming at, the people who take up and celebrate it. And it's so interesting because it's like, you know, written in 1979. And it didn't have the word incel or whatever then. But I would say, listening to this in 1984, I was at school, at an all-boys school, with, I'd say, 50% of the kids at this point of view that I was at school with.
And believed it. There was no irony to them. They embraced it. Yeah,
definitely. So that's why I find it fascinating. I mean, I think it's hilarious. He's taken the metaphor of the battle of the sexes and then include this war hero thing to make it more military. But it's so fun. I mean, it really is hilarious. I think some of the lyrics are so funny, you know. But I could see some people just saying, "Yeah, that guy Andy Partridge, he knows the score."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's on to it.
No. But it is funny.
Go ahead.
It is just hilarious. But it's catchy as hell. It's a great song, and that's the reason why I got in the charts. You know, and those were less enlightened times, and you know, the airwaves and the television airwaves were rampant with, you know, sexism and racism and, you know, horrible stuff going on. It was kind of like it was meat and potatoes to everybody, so it wouldn't have been addressed at that time. But it's so interesting to look back on it now. And as the guy who deliberately didn't want to come across this message, it just comes across as fairly flat. But I think the music's great, and there's so much Beatles in this song. It's unbelievable. And lab is really Beatles.
That's exactly what I was just about to say, and which why I think I like it, because it has that swingy, like, pop element to it that the Beatles really perfected in their music. So yeah, that totally makes sense. I will say that, like, there is this fine line that happens when you're trying to be ironic with your lyrics. And if you go too far with it, it ends up sounding like the exact opposite of really what you're trying to make fun of. You become the beast you're poking fun at. And I'm sure it wasn't his intent to do that at all. And when I listen to it, you know, for me, it will be hard to keep that in mind, because I'm thinking of all the people who, like you, would look at this and like be like, fuck yeah, dude, this is my truth. And it's just so sad. Like, go ahead.
So in this country, we had a character called Alf Garner, who was a West Ham supporter and racist. And there's a few series, In Sickness and Health and To Death Do Us Part, something like that. And he had a very old wife with him, and they had a carer come in who was black, and he was calling all sorts of names, and he was horrible, and it was taking the piss out of that character and his own ignorance. But he
Yeah,
became a banner.
you're
And I guess
Archie
someone like
Bunker.
yeah, I was going to Al
Archie-
Bundy as well.
Al Bundy, yes, Archie Bunker before him. It's the
Yeah.
same. It's the same thing. Sadly, there are people that are like, "Man, you couldn't get away with being Archie Bunker nowadays. That was a real man's man. He said what he and it's just like, shut the fuck up." They were making fun of that residual leftover shit that people who came up in the '50s grew up around and was normalized to. Um, I couldn't help but think that this was a more ham-fisted, slightly off the mark version of the same kind of sentiment I got and my generation got from the Blue album by Weezer, where there's this, the song No One Else. I want a girl who laughs for no one else. When I'm away, she puts her makeup on the shelf. When I'm away, she never leaves the house. And trying to create this poppy Beatles like melody or poppiness to this idea of like, I'm so insecure in myself that this is what I expect from my girl. And I thought that they did it was I don't know, maybe that's just me being jaded or whatever, but I thought it was a little easier to interpret the tongue-in-cheek nature of that kind of stuff, or a couple of the other tracks like In the Garage or Only in Dreams, than this, where it's like keep her in line and this idea of like war and military. And yeah, not for nothing, and I don't always want to be on the same side as feminists, because sometimes they're a bit over the top, especially the cliche ones. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if old Sergeant Rock had thrown hands with a woman before, you know what I mean, to keep her in line. That's the kind of guy he comes across as in this song. So it was all a little but I know Partridge didn't mean it. I just lament the fact that this is going to be taken seriously by way too many people, and that's the sad part of it for me.
Yeah, so I thought this was such an interesting song because of that. There's other songs. This is a great album, a truly great album. But it's in there. And depending on my mood, it's my favorite album of theirs, or it's not. But
Yeah.
it's top three. It's really, really good. I'll just pick up the story of what Karen. So 1980-81, XTC toured Australia, New Zealand, and the US as the opening act for The Police. In Athens, Georgia, XTC were supported by a local band called REM, who actually covered XTC songs in their set.
Wow.
And the
That's
night
awesome.
after John Lennon died in 1980, XTC played a gig in Liverpool where they performed both Towers of London and Rain in tribute to the Beatles. And just to sort of circle the point on this, at this point they were playing in larger arenas. And when Partridge began to decline further in his mental health, they were upstate in New York in December 1980. Partridge exited the tour van to take a slash. And he said, I jumped out of the van and wandered into this field. And I thought, who am I? Who the hell am I? And what am I doing in this field? He just got back of the van, not knowing who I was. Literally, he didn't know his name.
Jesus.
He requested to cease touring, but was opposed by Virgin, his bandmates, and the band's management. And then they played their last ever British gig in July 81. And in 82, they did one song on a live telecast in Paris, and he stumbled away having a panic attack mid-performance. So they did one song and he just left the stage and they never performed live again.
Jesus.
So yeah, that's where they're at with this. So just to fit in with the old.
Mhm.
But anyway, I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening to this little ditty, Anthony. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you, John. And the added context helped.
Yeah. Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, do hit the like button and drop some comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this song and this album. Indeed, it's a great, great album. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We'd love to have you on board. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel. So yeah, hop on board. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.